The story of life always begins in the quietest of places. For birds, it begins in a fragile oval shell, tucked away in the safety of a nest. Each egg is more than just a shell, it is a tiny universe where life silently stirs, hidden from the outside world. The parent birds, whether a pair of robins, sparrows or even mighty eagles, spend their days carefully guarding their clutch. They rotate the eggs gently with their beaks, warming them with their bodies, protecting them from predators and the cold night air. Every movement, every feather that brushes against the shell, is part of a timeless ritual, the passing of life from one generation to the next. Inside the egg, an incredible transformation is happening. From a single cell, division after division, a complex being begins to take shape. A heartbeat flickers into existence, blood vessels stretch like rivers across a golden yolk, and slowly, the outline of a chick forms. It is a process almost invisible to the human eye, yet it is one of nature's greatest miracles. The days pass, and with them, the embryo grows stronger. Its wings remain folded tightly against its tiny body, its beak curled inward, its eyes closed in darkness. But all the while, it listens. It can hear the muffled calls of its parents through the shell. It can feel vibrations when they land on the nest. This is the world it knows before ever seeing the sky. As the days of incubation near their end, change becomes urgent. The chick's lungs, once filled with fluid, prepare for air. It draws in tiny gulps of oxygen from a special air pocket inside the egg, practicing for the moment when it will breathe on its own. The egg tooth, a tiny sharp point on the tip of its beak, hardens, a tool designed for only one purpose: to break free. And then finally the silence is broken, the first crack appears. It is a slow, exhausting struggle. The chick pushes with its beak, tapping again and again. Hours pass, sometimes even a full day. From inside, faint squeaks echo, as though the bird is announcing to the world, "I am here, I am coming." The shell begins to fracture further, pieces loosening under the chick's persistence. With one final effort, the top breaks apart, and a tiny fragile creature emerges. Its feathers are wet and sparse, its eyes still shut, its body trembling from the effort, but it has crossed the greatest threshold of its existence. It is alive. The parents move in immediately. With gentle beaks, they clear away pieces of shell and nuzzle the chick closer to their warmth. For the chick, this moment is overwhelming. The first breath of air, the first sensation of light through half-closed eyelids, the first feeling of security from a parent's feathers wrapped around it. The cycle of life has taken its next step. And so begins the story of every bird you see flying above you. From sparrows that sing in city streets, to swallows that migrate thousands of miles, to mighty eagles that soar over mountains, all of them started here, in a quiet nest, inside a fragile egg. This is where survival begins. The chick's arrival into the world is only the beginning. Life outside the shell is fragile, and the first few days determine whether it will survive. When the chick hatches, its feathers are nothing more than damp fuzz clinging to delicate skin. It cannot walk, it cannot fly, and it cannot feed itself. It lies there in the nest, beak gaping, chirping weakly. Yet, even in this helplessness, it carries one powerful weapon: its call. The sound summons the parents, who rush to feed it. The parents never rest. From dawn until dusk, they fly back and forth, searching for worms, insects and seeds. Each time they return, the nest explodes with movement. The chick stretches its neck as high as it can, mouth open wide, begging for a bite. The parent carefully places food inside, sometimes so large the chick struggles to swallow, but always exactly what it needs to grow. This feeding cycle repeats dozens of times a day. The chick grows rapidly, bones strengthening, muscles forming, feathers beginning to sprout. Within just a few days, the once fragile creature becomes stronger, louder, more demanding. But the nest is not only a place of nourishment, it is also a classroom. Every sound, every shadow, every movement in the environment is a lesson. The chick learns the rhythm of its parents' wings. It recognizes their calls above the noise of the forest. It senses danger when the leaves rustle strangely, or when a shadow of a hawk sweeps across the ground. Instinct guides much of its behavior, but experience sharpens it. The nights are the hardest, the forest grows cold, predators stir, and the nest sways in the wind. The chick, still weak, presses close to its siblings or against the warmth of its parent. Survival is not guaranteed. Many eggs never hatch, many chicks never survive the first week, but those who endure grow stronger every sunrise. As the days turn into weeks, the chick transforms before our eyes. The fuzz gives way to feathers, the once closed eyes now open wide, curious and alert. Its chirps grow louder, more confident, demanding more food. Its wings, still small, begin to flap in clumsy practice. The parents, though tired, continue tirelessly. For them, this is the cycle of life. Sacrifice today so the next generation can take flight tomorrow. They defend the nest from snakes, rival birds, and even larger animals. Every scrap of food they find is a gift of survival for the chick. And slowly, the nest that was once only a cradle becomes a crowded training ground. The chicks begin stretching, hopping, and jostling each other. They are preparing for the most important moment of their lives, their first flight. The story of hatching was about emergence. The story of these first days is about growth, a rapid, relentless push toward independence. Each day is a lesson in survival, each moment a step closer to the sky. Soon, the nest will no longer be home, soon, the air itself will be their world. The nest, once a safe cocoon, has now become a cage. The chicks, now nearly grown, crowd against one another. Their feathers are fuller, their wings stronger, and their eyes sharper. The time has come to face the sky. The first flight is not just about wings, it is about courage. For days, the chicks practice by hopping along the rim of the nest, flapping their wings furiously. They feel the wind rushing against their feathers, their tiny hearts racing at the thought of what lies beyond. At first, they hesitate. The ground below looks impossibly far, the trees sway with the wind, and the unknown stretches endlessly. The parent birds encourage them, calling from nearby branches, demonstrating what freedom looks like. With every flap, the chicks grow closer to that leap of faith. And then, it happens. One brave chick pushes off the nest. For a heartbeat, it plummets, wings flailing wildly. Panic sets in. Will it fall? But instinct takes over. The wings catch the air. The chick stumbles forward through the sky, clumsy but airborne. The first flight has begun. This flight is not graceful. It is filled with awkward dips, sudden lifts, and near crashes. Yet in its imperfection lies the beauty of survival. Each mistake teaches balance, each flap builds strength. The chick learns how to rise with the wind, how to glide, and how to land without tumbling. The parents continue their role as guides. They call out, flying close, showing the way to perch on a branch, or catch a gentle current. One by one the siblings follow. The nest, once noisy and crowded, grows quiet as the young birds take to the air. The forest greets them with challenges. Strong winds push them back, sudden rain makes flying difficult, and predators lurk. But each struggle strengthens their wings. The world no longer feels impossibly big. It feels conquerable. Soon, the chicks are no longer afraid. They dart from branch to branch, chasing insects, calling out in excitement. What began as hesitation has transformed into exhilaration. The air is no longer an enemy. It is their home. The first flight is more than just a milestone. It is freedom. It is the moment the bird claims the sky as its own. It is the promise that life will continue, generation after generation, through courage and instinct. From this day onward, the nest will only be a memory. The true journey has begun. Once the young birds have tasted the air, there is no turning back. The world opens wide, offering endless opportunities and dangers alike. The branches that once looked unreachable now feel like stepping stones, and the sky that once seemed intimidating now feels like a second home. But freedom comes with responsibility. The fledglings, though able to fly, still rely on their parents to guide them. The lessons are not yet over. They must now learn how to survive in a world that does not forgive mistakes easily. The first challenge is food. Until now, their meals had always arrived at the nest. Soft insects, worms, seeds, delivered directly into their eager beaks. But now, the young must chase their own meals. The art of hunting is clumsy at first. They dart after a moth but miss, stumble on landing or fail to spot a worm wriggling under the soil, yet, with every failure comes improvement. Patience becomes the greatest teacher. A bird that rushes too soon wastes its energy, but one that observes and times its dive often succeeds. Slowly, the fledglings discover the thrill of catching their first prey. The satisfaction of self-sufficiency fills them with pride. The parents watch from nearby, intervening only when danger is near. Hawks and snakes patrol the skies and ground, waiting for mistakes. The fledglings must learn quickly that every shadow overhead might not be harmless. Caution sharpens their instincts. Evening brings another lesson: roosting. The nest is gone, and the world is vast. The young birds must choose where to rest each night: branches high enough to avoid predators, thick leaves to shelter from rain, and spots where they can stay close to one another for warmth. The forest is no longer just a playground, it is now their fortress. Day after day, the fledglings grow stronger, their wings no longer wobble, their landings are smoother, and their yes, sharper. They begin to mimic their parents' songs, not perfectly at first, but enough to communicate. Calls echo through the forest, each one a step closer to adulthood. The joy of flying expands into adventure. They chase one another across the treetops, dive into open fields, and soar above rivers. They learn the invisible highways of the wind, how to glide without effort, and how to conserve energy. What was once terrifying now feels natural. And soon, the young realize, they are no longer just learners, they are becoming part of the rhythm of the forest. Other birds respond to their calls, predators recognize their strength, the sky accepts them. Life beyond the nest is not easy, but it is rewarding. The forest offers endless lessons, and every day adds a new skill to their survival. From fear to confidence, from dependence to independence, the fledglings are transforming into the next guardians of the sky. As the seasons change, so do the young birds. What once felt new, the rush of flight, the challenge of hunting, the fear of predators, now feels like instinct. The fledglings are no longer fledglings. They are full-grown, independent, and ready to claim the sky as their own. The parents, who once guarded them with tireless devotion, now step back. Their role is done. The young have learned what they needed: how to fly, how to feed, how to survive. The final lesson is simple yet profound: to carry life forward. Soon the young birds begin to explore beyond their familiar territory. They cross rivers, fields, and even venture into human towns, always returning to the safety of trees. Each journey strengthens their wings and builds their courage. Migration instincts stir within some species, pulling them toward lands they have never seen but somehow know exist. The world, once frightening, now feels like theirs. But nature's greatest story is not in the survival of one generation, but in the passing of life from one to the next. When spring arrives again, the once helpless fledglings now prepare nests of their own. Twigs, feathers, and leaves are gathered carefully. New homes are built high in branches, just as their parents once did. And soon, new eggs appear, fragile, delicate, yet holding entire futures inside. The cycle begins once again. For the young birds that once struggled to balance on a branch, now comes the test of parenthood. They guard the eggs fiercely, taking turns to keep them warm, chasing away predators, and enduring hunger themselves to ensure their offspring survive. When the eggs crack open and new voices cry out, the forest echoes with the same sound that began their own journey months ago. Life has come full circle. The new parents bring worms, seeds, and insects just as their parents once did. They teach their chicks the same lessons: patience, strength, and caution. Every flap of wings, every chirp, every hunt, all of it is passed down like a living inheritance. And so the story continues, not for one bird or one nest, but for countless generations. The forest thrives because each bird learns, grows, and teaches. The sky remains full of wings because each cycle begins anew. The fledglings that once stumbled in their first flight are now the guardians of tomorrow, ensuring that the rhythm of life never falters. The lesson of their journey is simple yet eternal. Every beginning carries within it the seed of another beginning. The nest is not the end, it is the start of everything.